Good morning, welcome to the live stream, and welcome to a day where it appears the Martin Jones era in San Jose has come to an end. Reportedly, the team is going to put him on unconditional waivers for the purpose of buying out the rest of his contract. Now, I don't think any of this comes as a complete surprise. The recent acquisition of Adin Hill talks about making changes in the goaltending department. So again, none of this surprising, but I do think it qualifies as one of the wow moves that might be necessary for this team to turn its fortunes around. And with that said, I want to make clear here, before we dive into the stats on Martin Jones, kind of the backstory of how he came to this team, what he did for them, how it went on an incredible path from high to low over a handful of years. I'm not necessarily, I realize for the team, moving on is probably the best option, but I also want to say this. For Martin Jones, I still believe this is a quality goaltender that's going to go somewhere else, and the change of scenery alone might help him accomplish something. It's one of those weird dynamics where I firmly believe that the player and the performance are absolutely still there. It just was not working out in San Jose in the last couple years. And the numbers clearly prove it. We can dive into these. And actually, before we do that, since you're here, if you would, follow the channel here. No, sorry, not follow it. Subscribe to the channel. I'm still on the Twitter and Instagram thing. Subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. I'm trying to build out this platform so you and I can have these deeper level talks where there's really no other place for it. And also, if you end up liking this video, thumbs up at the very end. I would appreciate that. Okay, so Martin Jones here in terms of the stats and the trajectory. I mean, first off, look at the career numbers. 361 games across 8 seasons, a .908 save percentage, and a .260 goals against. Like somebody's going to be interested and compelled by that. My point here is that this is not a player who's going to last long as a free agent. Somebody is going to give him an opportunity sooner rather than later. But you just kind of look at what happened here over the years. Now, he was with the Kings those first 2 seasons, won a Stanley Cup behind Jonathan Quick. And then in the offseason of 15, you might recall how it happened. LA sends him to Boston. Boston sends him to San Jose. The Kings and Sharks would probably never have done that deal 1-to-1. But San Jose ends up getting the guy that they wanted, the guy that they needed. And look what he did in that first season. Had all those shutouts to start off the year, ended up that year with, 6 total shutouts? 15-16 clearly was his best year. Obviously, we know it ended in a Stanley Cup final appearance for San Jose. And, I think of all these stats here, and you could look at wins and losses and save percentage and goals against, but this is from Hockey Reference. There's a really bad starts here. And there's also a quality starts category. And look at the really bad starts, which, by the way, is defined as starts with a save percentage below 85. And you can see here that all of a sudden, there's a couple in this year, 9, 8, 9, but all of a sudden in 2018, 19, it goes up to 14, and then 11, and then 12. But you got to know in this year, this is the 2021 season, you're only looking at 56 games and only 34 starts. So 12 really bad starts of 34 total. And I'm not putting all this out there again to knock Martin Jones. I'm just saying how amazing the trajectory went from one thing to another with the San Jose Sharks. Again, though, if you look at the bigger picture body of work, 260 and 908. It's right in the ballpark of something somebody else would be enticed by. In terms of his contract, his original contract was for 2 years, and then he comes to San Jose on a 3-year deal, $3 million a year. And then after the 18 season, he signs this 6-year deal, which was an average value of $5.75 million a season. And obviously the Sharks are halfway through this, buying the rest of it out. And obviously, I'll explain it. I don't think it needs it. The Sharks are trying to create more cap space for themselves. They're also trying to move on from a player that they just don't see themselves being aligned with for the future. I think the best compliment you could give Martin Jones at this point is to say that I hope he doesn't end up in the division still. I would hate for this team to go up against Jones on a regular basis in a situation where he's found himself again. And speaking of that, going back to kind of the decline over the years, was all of it on him? If you have followed this channel long enough, if you've heard the things I've said long enough, my firm belief over the years was that, and especially, maybe we should go back to this, especially in some of these middle years, I think the last 2 years, Martin Jones has not been himself. In 2019-20, that shortened season, and then last year, this past year, the COVID season, Martin Jones just did not perform as you would expect. But I think some of these years, right in here in 17-18, 18-19, there were times where the Sharks as a team defensively put him in some absolutely awful situations. Odd man rushes, net front chances. And you're looking at a goalie like, well, how many times do you expect him to bail the team out? And sometimes he did. Sometimes he just didn't do it enough. And then eventually, like I said, the last couple seasons, it became clear that it was a combination of both things not working out. The team not helping him not helping himself out. I was looking at regular season stats here, and I also think it's fair to go back to playoff stats. You remember this first year when they went to the Stanley Cup final? An extra 24 games that season, an extra basically more than quarter season. A .923 save percentage and a .216 goals against. And how about the season after that? They were eliminated after the first round, but look at in that series. A .175 goals against and a .935 save percentage. Here in 17-18, again, didn't get as far as they wanted. Passed the first round, and then eliminated in the second round. Again, .928 save percentage and a .226. Now, 18-19 was a different beast. And you recall that was round 1, beating Las Vegas. Round 2, getting past the Avs, and round 3, ultimately falling to the St. Louis Blues, who would go on to win the Cup. But round 1 kind of offset all these stats. I know you're seeing a goals against above 3 and a save percentage sub 900, but that first round was what offset those numbers. In fact, it was the first couple games which really offset those numbers for Martin Jones. He was so good. After a couple games in that Las Vegas series, he was the reason why they were even in it for Game 6 and into Game 7, which they won. He was flawless in the Avs series and even giving the Sharks a chance against St. Louis when they were fully depleted, banged up from a health perspective. So, I mean, you could argue here that look at Martin Jones in all of his playoff experience. I mean, look at the playoff numbers, a .917 save percentage and a .237 goals against in 5 years and 60 playoff starts. So I'm not, do I think this is the best thing for both sides? Yes. I think Martin Jones is going to do well somewhere else. How well, I don't know. But I also think the Sharks owe it to themselves to try something else to move on. And weirdly enough, I think this is the right move to make, but I also don't know that anybody should be thrilled by this. It's unfortunate. The Sharks thought way back when that they had their man. After the 2018 season and what he had been doing, this looked like the deal to make. And it's just unfortunate that, especially over these last 2 seasons, the way it's trending, it has not appeared to just play out as everybody expected and as everybody hoped for. So, not a long video to make here. I think those are all the points. As for Martin Jones personally, you never run into too many bad hockey guys. And clearly he was to himself. Good teammate. Players seemed to like him. I'll be honest, my interactions with him were relatively limited. He was not really just a person that commanded the attention. In fact, it clearly seemed like he'd rather have none of it. He'd rather let his play do the talking, and that's fine. But all that mattered to me was that teammates respected him, and I think that's all he cares about too. So I do wish him the best. I do think he'll be on to good things somewhere else. I think this is good for the Sharks. Now, that brings up the topic and the question, well, what do they do next? They have Adin Hill, and the search is definitely on. Now, I think it's very clear that the Sharks would be going after somebody with experience, right? Because Adin Hill has a promising future, but he doesn't have even near the experience of a Martin Jones under his belt. So you're looking for a player that's going to give you proven track record, at the very least, with the potential for a lot of upside. So this is the day that the Martin Jones era unfortunately comes to an end. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments section below. And one more reminder, since you're still here, I would greatly appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. Thumbs up on this video if you like it. I mean, here's how crazy I am about promoting this. I have this. I also have this. Do you want this? And do you want this? All right, that's it. I appreciate everybody for watching. Talk to you next time. See you later.